Take a pit stop for all things NASCAR with the Four Tire Change podcast. Here is your host, Dawson Iserlo.
It is the Four Tire Change back once again. Dawson Iserlo with you here, ESPN Southwest Louisiana Sports Station. All things NASCAR Cup Series, of course. Another record-breaking week for the podcast last week. Over 3,000 views. Really, really appreciate it. I understand a lot of you were tuning in over from Australia and New Zealand. Plenty of Shane Van Gisbergen fans who listened in. We appreciate you if you'd stay along with us, subscribe, and leave a comment. We love all the new fans we've gotten. So this week, back to an oval, and unfortunately for SVG, which I thought was interesting, he has engine troubles and really never gets off to a good start in this race and isn't much of a factor, which was unfortunate because I was kind of looking forward to maybe seeing what Shane could do, maybe build on that momentum, right, feeling the confidence. It's different, right, the road courses versus going back to an oval, but thought maybe he could build on what had happened. He also had a nice starting spot because, of course, qualifying rained out at Dover, started via the formula, which meant he was up in the top 10, but it didn't end up working out for SVG, so he has a bad day. This race was fascinating, right? It's a Hendrick and Gibbs dominated day. Chase Elliott starts it out. He leads, over 170 laps. And you felt like, hey, is this the Chase breakthrough we've been waiting for? He's got one win this year. It's at Atlanta on a track that, we don't necessarily equate to well-executed or speed, right? It's just kind of managing. Not to say it's not an accomplishment, but it's just more about managing where you're at. And then things, look, I know a lot was made about the decision, and Alan Gustafson catches a lot of flack here when they go with two tires. I did listen afterwards. He regretted the fact that they pitted at all. Not really as much the 2 versus 4 thing, but just regretted that they made the decision to pit there. When you could have probably stayed out. It was a track position race. Look, I've enjoyed Dover. I think for whatever reason the Xfinity Series races at Dover have been much better than the Cup Series races over the last handful of seasons. And by the way, shout out to Connor Zilish, who just keeps rolling along. Gets a little bit of a rain-aided win, but still another one. He is on a mission, and he's going to be a Cup Series driver before very long. It feels like maybe imminently, maybe even next season, moving up and having an opportunity. I think another thing that was happening in this race here, when you have Christopher Bell out there who misses a couple opportunities, actually gets a second chance really after spinning due to the fact that, the caution comes out when he's out front. It's another good day for them speed-wise, but not really executing. And really 3 races in a row Bell won early in the season. And outside of that stretch, it's an underwhelming season overall, right? He and William Byron are the 2 that I've had circled. Like, which one of these guys is going to jump up there and become a real superstar, a real front runner consistently in this sport? They're clearly really, really good drivers. They're on top teams. They're in great equipment. They win multiple races a year. So, they've arrived. But are they going to be able to take it to that next level? And I don't know if we're going to see a driver win 8-9 races like Harvick and Hamlin did back in the COVID season. I don't know if that's what you're looking for. But are they going to have that season, that one that really vaults them to being considered perennial championship contenders, top 3-5 drivers in the sport? I'm waiting on it between Bell and Byron. Tyler Reddick's the third that's kind of in that category where I'm like, is he going to kind of put it all together? And I don't fully know the answer to that. But down the stretch, what happened here? Denny Hamlin, I think, reminded us that he's still got it in this sport. Denny Hamlin was unbelievable. When he finds a way to get the track position, gets out front, he has to guard against cars that seemed better than him at different times. Bell included in that conversation. And he did it over and over again. Now, Chase Briscoe ends up being the ultimate chaser here. And Briscoe did comment afterwards, and I thought it was, it was well said that if it's not a teammate, he probably handles the last handful of laps of this race differently. And also, by the way, I do want to give a quick shout out to NASCAR before I lose, the thought. I thought great job going back green and finishing the last 15 laps of this race. They could have said, hey, the race is official. We're going to call it. We got this rain shower. And they said, no, let's dry the track. They knew they were going to have enough daylight to do so because the cell got out of town quickly. And they finished this race. So good on them, I thought. It's tough for the fans who maybe didn't want to stick around through a delay. But I thought that was a job well done. And ultimately, it does not change the result here. I did pick Denny Hamlin last week. So, hey, shout out for once me getting one right. I think we've had maybe 2 or 3 correct picks this season. It's tough to do, right, when you got 40 cars out there sometimes. But Denny just fending people off and reminding you that he's a veteran of this sport, I thought used every bit of that veteran acumen in kind of making sure he was blocking the lines right. We know aero blocking is a bit of a thing at Dover, but a really, really good job. The number 11 car is going to be a factor in this championship. He's going to be up there as far as the seeding is concerned. He's going to have, either the most or close to the most playoff points. We'll see. There's still obviously plenty of playoff points to be handed out before we get to the playoffs. Just a really, really job well done by the number 11 team and by Denny Hamlin himself. Past the racetrack this week, we do have official word that the 2311 and Front Row Motorsports cars are going to be running as open for the foreseeable future. Now, it's not going to affect them because they're not going to have more than 40 entries. Could it potentially happen at Daytona? Now, I know payout-wise, there is maybe a slight implication payout-wise, but as far as what we're concerned with, like crowning a champion and all that stuff, there shouldn't be any negative impacts. The last race at Daytona would be interesting. I don't think they're going to get more than 40, though. Really, the 500 is the only race we've consistently seen that. Maybe it's something to address if that happens at Daytona, but for now, it doesn't seem like it's going to be an issue. But it's definitely worth noting, and that's a saga that's going to go down. I guess December is going to be when the actual trial takes place. I don't know really what to make of what's going to end up happening, but as of now, the important thing to note, those cars are running as open cars. But as far as, getting into races and contending for the championship, getting playoff points, all that stuff, they're not going to be affected because we're not going to have more than 40 entries at basically any race the rest of the season, we would assume, unless, again, something changes about a super speedway or a road course where you get a bunch of extra entries. I don't think that's going to happen. This week, we go to Indianapolis. First of all, I love that it's back at the Oval. The Indy road course, while I did think was fun, it created some chaos at times. The Brickyard 400's been a special race for a long time. It's a crown jewel, and I think it's rightfully needs to happen on the Oval, especially with this car, right? It's provided better racing at these types of tracks. It is never going to be the most wild, entertaining Oval of the season, but I think it's important to race there on the Oval with the history involved, everything that is, kissing the bricks. I think that matters in this sport. Excited for that, right? As far as who's going to actually win it, man, it's hard to look at what Gibbs and Hendrick just did, running, top 6 finishers at Dover. I know it's not the same type of racetrack, but, there just feels like there's kind of a level that those guys are in that the rest of the field's not right now. So, I'm going to stick with one of those drivers and give me a guy who I kind of mentioned earlier as somebody who can maybe take a step forward and emerge. How about William Byron, kind of showing you right back that he's got an opportunity to contend here. I think Byron has a chance to do something. The Hendrick cars have shown so much speed. I think Byron gets it done in Indianapolis. That is my official race pick. Last but not least, the in-season challenge. I have loved this just because Ty Dillon's still alive. And I mean, what better to have an underdog story? It's like a 13 seed making the Final Four in March Madness, right? Ty Dillon is still there. It's the Ty versus Ty challenge. He'll be up against Ty Gibbs. Massive advantage, of course, to the number 54 team, who quietly, by the way, has had an incredible run of finishes after he was in the low 20s in points, was having an awful year. They've really turned a corner. The number 54 and Ty Gibbs have gotten a lot better over the last, 2 months or so. So he is the heavy favorite, but I am rooting for Ty Dillon to get it done. $1 million, first of all, would go a long way for Colleague Racing as far as Joe Gibbs is concerned, right? We know they're not hurting for cash quite as much. It's been fun that they've embraced it. He punted Bowman out of the way at the road course to move on. This week, he battles John Hunter Nemechek all week long at Dover and finds a way to finish in front of him. Got back his lap, got the lucky dog. It's been fun. I don't know if I love this. It's something that doesn't bother me, clearly. I don't know if it's growing the sport immensely. I know people, they wanted to have something that people could bet on. I think they've accomplished that. A lot of cool elements to it. And again, I think the coolest element would be if somebody like Ty Dillon pulled it off. So he straight up got to finish in front of Ty Gibbs at Indianapolis Motor. Let's try that again. At Indianapolis Motor Speedway. If he does that, he wins the in-season challenge and he wins the $1 million. So that'll be fun to see if he gets it done. Appreciate all the support we've had recently on the podcast. Again, if you would like, comment, subscribe if you can. 4 Tire Change. Trying to keep things rolling here. Really enjoying what we're doing. So stay with us. Dawson Iserloh signing out here.